Good morning. Our hand today is Pocket Aces. I'm not sure if this hand will be interesting to discuss or not, but I thought we would go through it because I had marked it as a review. So in this hand, we had a limper from early position, a mid position raise to 3-bet, and it's on me. I have a 3-bet range for mid position openers. I'm going to count him as being an opener. So this is my range. I look at players behind me. None of them seem to be overly loose. And when I look at Villain 9, I saw that he has played 67%, but it's 3 hands. So it's really just a bunch of unknowns. So I raise it to 10. I think that's pretty decent size. We'll be in position, assuming Villain 10 folds. And then we get the big blind calls. Just cold calls it. And I think when a player cold calls it, I think they're less likely to have like a big hand. Maybe they have aces and kings. I'm sorry, ace king, and they're afraid to 3-bet it. But usually, I think it's going to be something like this. It's going to be heavy in pocket pairs, and it's going to be some of these big speculative hands that they're hoping to call with. That's just a good guess. We can always adjust it based on what he shows down. And it's just the two of us. So now we see a board of 6-5-2 with 2 clubs. I have the ace of clubs. He checks, I bet, he calls, and then the 4 diamonds comes. Now in terms of his range, I don't really think he's connected with this. In order to call 3-bet and hit that 3, he had to have ace 3, which I guess maybe he has ace 3 suited, but that's going to be two total of 4 combos. Would he really do that? I don't think so. I don't think a lot of people call 3-bets with just suited aces. I think it's going to have to be a big suited aces. So he could still be on the flush draw. He could have an overpair. He could have trips. So he checked, and I bet half pot, and then he comes over the top. And when you look at what I have, it's basically putting me all in because I only have 53 big blinds left. And the question is, do I call here? Do I fold? And I think about it as, yeah, he might have the club, but I have the ace of clubs, which stops him from having that. He could have a pocket pair, and really, when we look at all of his hands, I do think he's got a lot more pocket pairs, and I think he could do this with a lot of pocket pairs because in his mind, does this board really connect with my 3-betting range? Not really. So I made the call, and we see a river of a 5, and then we get a showdown. So I'm curious to see what GTO suggests, versus a GTO player, and then we could kind of adjust it. So I have the ranges put in, and of course, out of position player is supposed to check. I'm betting most of the time, which I think is correct play. We're trying to go for some value, and again, I think with his range, he's going to have a lot of pocket pairs that call. And we're fine with that. We want those to call. It doesn't have many of these broadways to call. I do think some players will be calling these. It call at least once, so I think that makes it even more likely that we should be betting for value because these hands are going to call. I think ace queen, ace jack is ace 10. They're all going to call. So I bet he does have possibility of some raising. He didn't, so oops, not a 3 of diamonds. So he calls, and then we see a 4 of diamonds. Villain should be checking 100%, which he did. Now it's on us. We should still be betting our value, and I think because when we look at our value range and what he's going to call with, I think Villain's still going to be calling with pocket pairs, possibly even raising with pocket pairs. We're still betting. We would still be betting our nut flush draws, and we've picked up the diamonds too, so I think we're going to be betting those as well. And we do have those low ace 2, ace 3, ace 4, ace 5 hands. Ace 3 is definitely going to be one of those hands that we bet. Ace queen, I think I'm a little surprised here to see that we're betting. Same thing with offsuit ace king. Looks like we're betting aces, and if we have the ace of diamonds and the queen of diamonds, but we're not doing all of it. We're not always betting those. So I think they're just breaking down the hands, making sure we have a sufficient number of hands in our value range and in our bluffing range. I think that's the same with ace king. So I bet, and then villain's supposed to raise basically all in 15% of the time, and the hands that he's raising with eights, some jacks, it looks like he's doing it with some of these flush draws as well. I'm going to say surprisingly he's not doing it with sevens. I mean, 7 has overpair and open-ended straight draw, so maybe he's, I do think, I would have thought this was a great spot to shove here, because you have that overpair and the open-ended straight draw, and if I myself actually have an overpair, I'm still drawing to that straight. I would have been a little bit more inclined to do this with the sevens than with the eights, but I guess if we have the eights, that allows me to have the possibility of having a 7, even though it's not, I mean, it's not in my 3-betting range at all. I mean, 7s are in my 3-betting range, so I guess maybe if we do it with 8s, it's possible that now with my 7s, I could be calling if I had them. And again, I have my standard 3-betting range, but I'm gonna adjust it based on players that are in the hand, players that are behind me. So if I think we have a player that is fairly loose with his opens, but then tightens up and folds a lot, then I'm going to probably look at playing, and especially if this player is aggressive post flop, I'm going to probably look at opening up some of my 3-betting range and just trying to take down the pot instead of calling and playing post flop with this player. So that's kind of another strategy. So he raises. Of course, I'm calling these high pocket pairs, which I did. So and it looks like we are good. So what if this wasn't a diamond? Let's say this was a 4 of clubs. How does that change? So we still bet, and he calls. And then he's still checking, and we should still be betting. And then villain's going to be raising with similar hands. He's going to be less likely to bet with 7s and 8s. So now 8s can actually become a fold when I bet. 7s are mostly a call. You're going to raise with trips. I bet that's a flush. You're raising your flushes that are there. You're calling with some of these. Let's just go look at our flushes. Yeah, you're raising with ace 10. You're calling with ace jack, king queen, queen jack. All right. What happens if it's, say, jack of spades? He checks, I bet, which I do think I still bet. Still going for value, and then he's supposed to call. If he raises, we still call with the overpair, but now we start dumping some of our gut shots and stuff. All right, so I think I played it this fine. Let's see what he shows down. He shows down 6-7 offsuit, which is I did not have in his range. I did not think he would have that. So I don't think this really changes a whole lot. I mean, he made it with top pair and with the open ender. Personally, I don't care for this because I did 3-bet, and my 3-bet range is going to be strong. And I think when he raises this, I don't know if I'm going to be able to fold any of my clubs or my diamond draws. So, if we go back to 4 diamonds, I bet he raises. You can see I'm calling with the clubs and the diamond draws that I have in my hand. So, I mean, at that point, he has a pair, but I would have, as many as 6 overcard outs, along with all the remaining draws. So I would have, I do have some outs. Let's fix his range. So I put him at a pretty tight range. So he called with 6-7 offsuit. So if he did 6-7 offsuit, He's also going to have that at least for the suited, probably 2-1 gappers. He probably has his suited aces. We're going to say queens would have 4-bet. Probably the suited goes down there. 6-5 offsuit. I'm not sure if he's going to have. Let's just do the offsuit aces down to there. Let's just make it a little bit wider. So build tree. And now let's run the solver and see what our play is once we've made his range. All right, we are done. So villain's still supposed to check. We are still betting 100%, and now he's going to be calling with this range. He's calling with sets. Sometimes calling with 2-pair, raising with 2-pair, calling with his overpairs. Looks like his only one that he's raising is jacks, and I guess that's expected when you consider my pretty tight range. I do have a lot more overpairs, so I guess with jacks he's looking at getting like the ace king, ace queens to fold, because we don't want to see one of he doesn't want to see one of those cards come out. So he just went into my mind. This play is based against my range that I currently have, and it's not technically how a normal player would play, because they might assign a different range to me. So he calls. That was the 4 diamonds. Now he is going to be betting some. He should lead. I think we can fix this. Well, let's start doing the GTO. So he checks, and then still we are going to be betting. Some of our aces will be checking here. So I have the club and the heart. So club and the heart. About a third of the time I should be betting. About a third, 2/3 I should be checking here. And that's, I'm gonna guess it's probably to guard, protect my hand. So if I raise, I have, like, basically I'm still gonna call all of those, but if I check, let's say, well, just a 10 of diamonds, I think he's gonna be betting a lot, and those aces allow me to call. So 9 of clubs, he bets. I'm still basically gonna call. So I think that this ace is here where I'm checking there to protect the rest of my checking range. So like checking, you know, ace 4, ace 5, I've got a little bit of value there. I've got a little bit of value with the overs, ace king, ace queen. That includes the clubs and the diamonds. So even if we bet with the clubs and the diamonds, and if he raises, I do think we are supposed to call with those if we get away from GTO. So he checks. I think we bet, raise, and we call. So our play is okay. I think our play is okay with aces. I think with ace king, ace queen, clubs and diamonds, I probably would have been betting those. So I think that's interesting to note. I guess obviously the villain's going to have something. He's going to connect in some way if he calls the flop. I think ace king, ace queen, we do have some showdown hands. So if we check here, let's just do 8 of hearts. If we check and he bets, you know, just shoves all in, I mean, we could possibly play it as a bluff catch. But you know, at this point he's shoving us, you know, he should be betting all in, or putting me all in, and then checking a lot of his showdown hands. So checking, you know, 9s, 10s, jacks, and we could always kind of adjust it to say, look, once we check here, if he had a hand like ace 5 or ace 6, then he may feel confident to go ahead and bet, and we, you know, we could still call, or I'm sorry, we would still fold like the ace king, ace queen. Whereas depending on the run out, if we think he might have played with, let's say, 6, 7 again, and now he bets, if we have a pair we call. If he has I guess this board's just kind of scary. It kind of leads more to not calling on the river, and I think that's probably a place where I've called too much in the past. Definitely over the last 6 months or so, I've started to fix my river calls. But I think it's good to note that on this board, when he does come over the top, he's going to have something. He's going to probably have at least a pair, and it doesn't make sense then to continue with calling with junk, or calling with a non-pair ace high as a bluff catch. So I do like how I played this a bit more aggressively. I was put at the decision on that turn. I thought about it and said, man, does he have trips? I see this all the time with people that have trips, and I just kind of went back to thinking he called a 3-bet from the big blind. Usually that's pocket pairs, 7, 8s, 9s, 10s, jacks, and I think this would be a situation where they would easily do that. And I think there's a lot more pocket pairs than there are, let's say, ace 3 or even 7, 8. So and I did think 7, 8 suited was a little unlikely. Well, it was really unlikely. I didn't think that would be a hand that he calls a 3-bet. So I think we made a note, or made an automatic note here. So now next time we see him, we know that he can make some play with like a pair and a draw. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed this hand. You can look tomorrow for another.